not to be provided by Brentex? Because the way you say it is as if the spare parts is not part of your contract. I appreciate that the EPC is separated out at a value of 1.3, but the total provision for spare parts, I imagine they would come from the EPC contractor, which is yourself. I also believe that the SCADA integration would also come from you, and the provisional sum would also be payable to you should it be required, which would mean that those amounts should be included as part of the contract sum. Please correct me if I'm wrong.
It's like chicken and egg. I don't know whether to say you're wrong or you're right. For instance, the SCADA, if they call us to do the SCADA, that's the money we should be looking at. And like they removed the TGS, and they're taking the money out of the TGS. So the same thing goes to the provisional sum. If they write us to do something, and they will specifically say it's to come from the provisional sum, and we do it and we invoice them on that provisional sum. It's not part of the EPC contract. The same thing goes to the spare parts. If we complete, which is what I'm going to address my next address, if we complete and they want us, we'll write them, what about the spare parts? If they say, go ahead and procure, we'll ask for this money.
May I ask you?
Yes, ma'am.
Where were the spare parts used? Have these spare parts been procured? And have you utilized them? If yes, where did you utilize spare parts worth $26 million?
Okay.
In pipeline lane.
Madam Chair, distinguished members, I apologize. The MD is struggling to explain the texture of the contract. We are EPC contractors. Our contract does not cover supply of spare parts. It didn't cover provisional sum. It also did not cover the services.
Sorry to cut you short, but we are pretty much running out of time. I understand that you did not supply the spare parts, but I'm aware spare parts come into play in the lane of pipelines. We just want to ensure that it was not just injected so the funds could be siphoned.
That's right. Okay.
$26 million worth of spare parts.
Yes.
For what? And I'm asking you, have you utilized these spare parts? Did NNPC supply spare parts worth $26 million to you?
Not at all.
Simple. Thank you.
The statement there is saying 2 years after commissioning. So I'm sure the process of procurement of the spare part will delivery of the project. So definitely it is not procured. Obviously it was not supplied.
So spare parts have not been supplied. And here we did see in the line, we don't see 2 years after commissioning. We don't see that. It's written 26 million as provisional sum for provision of 2 years spare parts. It's 2 years worth of spare parts.
Typically, spare parts should come after the item is manufactured. Let's say a car.
So I'm actually also concerned. You are the ones laying the pipeline with your own technology, right, that you got from China. Yet NNPC, who pretty much is oblivious of your choice of pipelines, are now the ones supplying the spare parts. Wouldn't it have made sense if you were the ones supplying the spare parts for the maintenance?
It is not exactly so. If you remove the pipe, very very few other items would come to the project from China. A lot of others are coming from other countries. Now, the owner of the project elected to make a budget for the spare part, certainly not funded yet, in anticipation that if the project is delivered, for the first 2 years, the owner will commit $26 million to address the requirement for the spare part in the first 2 years of the operation of the pipeline. I'm sure the owner will be able to explain better when they are here.
Sorry, if I may come back, spare parts that amount to 19 million and 26 million, $26 million, would actually have been listed and costed. So this isn't some random figure that appears in your contract. This is a figure that would be broken down into items and quantities to get to this figure of $26.3 million, meaning that at the onset of the contract, NNPC understood that they would need a stock of spare parts, and therefore they have written it into your contract, meaning that the prices of those items would be secured for your client. Now, I appreciate they would not have paid for them because the contract isn't finished. But on completion of the contract, you would be expected to supply the spare parts that go with the contract. That, together with provisional items, are standard wordings in contracts of this nature. I don't see how NNPC or your client would have put this clause into the contract and then look for a secondary supplier to make available spare parts on a contract that the secondary supplier was not involved in. So these amounts, to my mind, should clearly form part of your contract.
Sorry, it's actually worrisome to know that NNPC will commit over $1 billion to a project and there is no guarantee of service. You are already anticipating damage for 2 years, damage that will require spare parts worth $26 million. Ordinarily, so please can you turn off your microphone? Ordinarily, ordinarily, a product, there's usually a warranty phase. So I believe that also applies to the contracts such as laying of pipelines. Because I believe when pipes are submerged, they're pretty much safe there, except there's deliberate sabotage or destruction, right? So if you're already budgeting, if NNPC is budgeting $26 million apart from your own, then where does your warranty come into play?
Distinguished, we have NNPC retains a 5% from our value EPC contract for 12 months. So it's called retention, 5%. If anything, when we finish and there is a problem, it's from that 5% they will call us to come and fix it. So there's a warranty of, on quote, 12 months. Now, on the spare parts, yes, it's assumed, like the distinguished senator said, when we complete, like now we're about completing, we're sending out letters to them and say, okay, we're finishing on X, Y, Z, God willing. What about the SCADA? What about the spare parts? Are you taking on us on that? And we also have a performance bond on this project, which is 10% of the value of the project that we have placed on it. So I believe the warranties are almost guaranteed. The bank has that and is It's clear terms, and they have also a 5% of the value of the contract. Every invoice that is paid is deducted straight away. Thank you.
Well, this page 1 stipulates without any iota of doubt that whatever is written here automatically will be given to you. Because there is no point signing on a project that you will not undertake. Okay, if you are not signing, are you not saying that all these other parts will be given to other companies? So why is it your contractual agreement? It is not, I've not seen any agreement written in that way. Suffice to say that it might be in stages. Finish this one, 2 years, you supply the spare part. But that is not to say that they're taking it away from you. Because you already signed off. All about 3 people signed on this page alone, meaning that it is as guaranteed, is a sure project that you will handle, either in the nearest future. It may not have been paid for, it may not have been procured, but it will be paid for, and it will be, the procurement process for it will be completed and you will be part of the signatory because you already signed on to it. To suggest otherwise is not correct. That some other companies will now do A, B, C, D. No, it's not correct. It's you, but it may have timeline. Finish this, get to that, procure it, do it, but let us not waste time about it. It's your project. Yeah, only the timeline that it might be different, and the payment.
Let this be the question. Please move on to the next one. Let's talk.
Okay, we have the human capacity development we have done. It's the ones we have done on our own so far, which is not the HCD as specified in the bid. So if
You said which is not HCD.
it's the ones we have done on our
No,
own.
I'm not interested in your CSRs.
Okay.
No, I'm not interested. If you build boreholes or that's your own prerogative. It's your own ethical obligation and ethical decision, which we respect. But we are interested in you proving to us that so far, in as much as you have received $639 million, you have invested 1% of that, which is $6.39 million in human capacity development. Okay, do you please have a proof of that? Mind you, remember we talked about the 40-60, which means 60% of it will go into institutional strengthening. So also mention the names of the schools that benefited from the HCD and the Nigerians that were trained with 40% of the funds. We just want your proof, please. If you don't have that, like you were not present the last time, but we interfaced with your team. And after all deliberations, it was very clear to us that you are yet to embark upon that, which was an okay position for us. Because considering the fact that you were still to be paid another 600. Okay. Considering the fact that you are still to be paid another 600, then we could work out the modalities of the HCD from your yet to be paid funds. Just let us know, have you carried out your human capacity development project to the amount of $6.3 million for Nigeria, which would include institutional strengthening and the trainings? Have you, yes or no?
Thank you, Chair. We have not done anything at all in that direction. But this conversation is bringing us to some area of concern. In the process of tendering, we made an offer of what we believe we should do, and it wouldn't have gone into the contract if Nigerian content did not consider and approve, if the owner, which is NNPC, had not accepted. So the basis of having 3.7 million is what we proposed we will do, and that is what the approving authorities approved, and accordingly it reflected in the contract for that price. Now, we had been engaging the owner since the beginning of this conversation. We are not quarreling with changing the number to 11, to 12, or to any other number. But the number that was proposed and captured as an exhibit in the contract is 3.7. And we have not spent
3.7 what?
million dollars, $7.7 million.
7.7
Sorry?
or 3.7?
3.7
For what?
for HCD. That is what the three arms connected to making position on that agree. That is the owner, the Nigerian content, and the contractor.
Well, we have interfaced with a number of them. NCDMB, can you please respond to that?
No, when we met with, no, I was not present before HCD, so we asked them to go back, do that calculation and revert to us, and they've not reverted till today.
Brentex and NCD, was there an agreement signed off that, or what does the law says, or what was originally agreed to? So that, let's see, was there anywhere you signed off? Did NNPC sign off? Did you people agree on the tree from 6 point?
No, the total was even, it's supposed to be 16 million, actually it's supposed to be $16 million.
Yes.
But we now decide to calculate it based on what they have been paid so far. So $16 million worth of human capacity development project. But they say they've been paid 639 million. So we're still calculating 1%. But they are now saying that for the total value of their project, they want to commit only $3.7 million. So NCDMB rejected that and said, no, that is too low. It falls too low below the threshold.
Yeah.
And that they told them to review it and get back to them, and they were yet to do so. Is that not
Correct.
Thank you.
Working in joint venture with, say, NNPC and spending government money, will come back with a claim that indeed maybe they spent 20% on HCD or 30%. We say no, the absolute maximum you spend on HCD should be this number to guide them. And so when we have cases where for the economics of the project, we've had a discussion, and on the basis of that discussion, we see the need to reduce the expenditure to help that project meet the economic considerations and requirements. Yes, we discussed that. And when we discuss that and agree, we convey that clearly in the HCD approval letter to say the value of HCD for this project shall be this number. In this case, we've not reached that point and we've not conveyed that to Brentex.
Empowers you to unilaterally reduce the amount of HCD that companies should provide. That's one. And two, you say that you provide the companies with a maximum. Surely if a company wants to provide more than the law requires, they should be allowed to. But for you to say they cannot go more, I put it to you, sir, that your job is to encourage local content, not to limit it. So by telling them there's a maximum of 1 million, where from the documents it should be maybe 3 million, you are depriving Nigerians of possible training and empowerment through your office. No, sir, please stick to the point. Does the law allow you to unilaterally vary the amount of HCD? That is the question.
The guideline, in the guideline for HCD, we stated clearly that that number we suggested would be the maximum. And we discussed with the companies the way we have, it's a guideline we have given to them. Yeah, we discussed with the companies and we transparently manage the agreements, because you have some projects that the economics is so tight and you cannot do HCD. And the companies come in and government say, okay, you have to give consideration for this project. Yeah, like the presidential directive now on Nigerian content is such that they're even thinking that we should waive things like HCD completely to make projects fly in the industry. So we get those directives from the topmost times to say, okay, for this one, because of the criticality of the economics of this project, you need to look at how you can make the project viable economically.
Are you saying that deploys this variation in taxes? Or, because at the point of putting together the value of a project, the taxes have been included. So I believe so also, the 1% Human Capacity Development Fund should be included. Bottom point, we don't think it is in your own purview to bargain low because of your own consideration of hardship in the economy. If a project is worth 1.6 billion, $16 million for training Nigerians and strengthening our schools should not be too much. But that's on our side. Please, may I have, is there someone from CPP here? Gentleman, is it you? Our reports, China defaulted in bringing the fund. So the AKK project in its entirety till today has been solely funded by NNPC. Yet, you are benefiting. China is benefiting or has benefited greatly from the AKK project.
Sorry, madam.
Respond, please.
Sorry, I don't know.
What don't you understand? Can someone explain to him, please, in Chinese? Or Mandarin, please?
Can I speak on his behalf?
No, please. He has to speak in the language because part of the expatriate quota is that every foreigner brought into Nigeria must be able to communicate in our language clearly,
No, he can
which
speak,
is English.
He can speak English.
So, okay, should I speak more slowly for you to understand? Okay. At the point of engaging in the phase 2 of the Ajakuta-Kaduna-Kano project, the same project that you are seated here for, the reason why CPP partnered with Brentex is because China, your country, agreed to fund the Ajakuta-Kaduna-Kano pipeline project. Now, the substantial part of the delay was because the funds were not forthcoming from China. So NNPC proceeded to single-handedly fund the project and has done so till date. My question now is, why did you not pull out of your partnership with Brentex? Why did you continue engaging as a partner and benefiting from this project?
Not control the policy of the government. Okay?
So what policy of government that...
Hold on, please. Can we take some moment to introduce the senators that just joined in, please, so that we can also, let's choose.
Haruna Manu, I represent Taraba Central. Imaswe, representing Edo South Senatorial District, a member of the committee.
Representing Jigawa Southwest, member of the committee.
Madam, sorry, I don't know. I don't know, understand why you ask me this question. Auto or companies control. This is the government's between the police or the governments. It's not our company policy. We are trying our best to do the work. CPP have done the best work in Nigeria.
Are you in capacity to answer on behalf of your company? If you are not in capacity to answer questions on behalf of your company, then you can stand up and excuse us from.
I cannot, because all notices are in English, sorry. And we and brand tax consultant companies.
So you are not good, wait. You are not good in English, one.
Yeah.
Two, you don't have capacity to answer on behalf of your company. Is that what you are saying?
Yes.
Okay, fine.
I just want to.
Listen, you can now excuse of the meeting.
CPP, who hired you? Who hired you in this project? At least you can answer that. Who hired you to do this job?
Please turn off your mic, please. Turn off your mic, please. In partnership with any foreign company in the execution of your project?
No, we are not.
So
No,
it's
we are
100%,
not. Nigerian owned, yes.
100% Nigerian.
Nigerian owned, yes.
Thank you. Brentex, you could have gone 100% Nigerian as well. But again, you partnered with China because China was to bring the money, yes or no?
That is not correct.
Thank you.
Yes.
But then China dragged until they defaulted. They did not bring a kobo to support the AKK project. And
The chair, my answer.
if I take, hold on please. If I take you back a little, the reason why the partnership was signed with CPP is because the Chinese government insisted for their own local content. They said they would not invest money in Nigeria if they were not going to be carried along in the employment or the repatriation of funds somehow. So that was why the Chinese government insisted that CPP should partner with Brentex.
Is that correct?
That is not correct also.
Thank you.
It's not correct
Now,
also.
hold on. It's not correct or it's correct?
It's not correct also.
Okay, what's the correct?
That means, MD, somebody here must have been lying, and maybe the documents we have. And mind you, we have already interfaced with NNPC and other partners. And we are speaking from an informed point of view. That Chinese government insisted on their own local content, and that was why CPP came in, because they were supposed to bring the funds for this project.
That is not correct.
So was CPP at any point engaged to bring in the funds for this project?
Not at all.
Who was supposed to fund this project first before NNPC took charge?
From the beginning, NNPC was in charge. And they were prospecting.
The question is very simple. Was China at any point to fund the AKK project?
NNPC went to China to ask for loan. Like in the manner they went several other places.
The NNPC went to China to ask for loan. Then?
When NNPC went to China, the consortium between Brentex and CPP was already in place. In fact, we had a contract. CPP came to Nigeria just as my technical partner, as Brentex technical partner. They don't fund projects anywhere on planet Earth. And they do projects all over Africa. We never told NNPC that we can bring money. That is the truth. Brentex, as a Nigerian company, lacked the technical capacity to prosecute projects of that size. The first company we brought was Petrojet in Egypt. Egyptians don't fund any project. But they appeared so corny. At some stage, they exited. Then we invited CPP on technical ground. In my relationship, that is Brentex and CPP, consortium agreement, there is no element of funding from CPP.
Clerk, you do have minutes of our previous meetings, which we can refer to. Please, can you guide us? Who actually mentioned it? Someone
In
from
fact,
the
if I
Brentex
add more,
team.
it
No,
will
hold
bring
on.
more light.
Someone from Brentex. Yes, that.
You mentioned that NNPC consulted China
Yeah,
on a loan basis.
yeah. Talk about the funding, please, because we did have mentions.
And that China defaulted.
In
the loan.
In the loan.
No. In the loan.
Please.
There was no loan distinguished.
There was no loan because China never brought the money.
Because NNPC
Okay, but that means we're talking about money.
of CPP.
Okay, so my point is that why didn't CPP pull out? If NNPC did not meet China did not come. Therefore, there was no basis for China to be a partner in this and to benefit from the construction.
Why CPP came? CPP did not come to fund project. Nowhere, no documents can prove that. Nothing like that.
Yeah. What? Hello, Chairman. Give you any conditionality before accepting to be your technical partner?
We only ask them to bring what we don't have, the technical capacity. In all our agreement, what we lacked is their size and capacity. No less, no more. If you check, there is nowhere NNPC did not go and plan it as to discuss loan. It didn't work. So they went the same way Railway and Transport Ministry were doing. If you check all the projects in the Ministry of Transport, which is run by Chinese, which is different conversation. In fact, NNPC went for what you call quasi-commercial loan. And the Chinese authorities welcomed it, because that was the first time Nigeria went to China to discuss commercial loan. The rest are all concessionary conversations. But we couldn't meet the condition. That is the truth. And the documents are there in the finance department of NNPC. There is no issue of default. It's whether the condition was met or not. A lender, borrower must meet the requirement of the lender. That is the minimum requirement in any banking arrangement. Thank you.
Met the requirements or not, the point is that the funds for the AKK project was to come from China. And to the very best of our understanding, that is where the CPP partnership came in. We would have to visit NNPC back again to clarify, because that was exactly NNPC's position, that they waited for the loan from NNPC and from China, and China defaulted. But at that point, you had already partnered with them because China insisted on their own company benefiting from the local content. But for you to say you had no capacity, here is OilServe. I think very soon we'll round up and give the floor to OilServe, a wholly Nigerian company who run the first phase of the project from Ajakuta to part of Niger without any partnership with the Chinese or any.
Yes, the emphasis I want to probably dramatize, distinguished senators and chair madam, is simple. We are working with CPP as consortium way back in 2015, 2016 to tender. And it was commercial relationship between us and them. We try local banks, Brantex try local banks. We tried the bank in Egypt, African Bank. We tried even the World Bank. We tried Standard Chartered Bank in England. We tried Exim Bank, Bank of Infrastructure, Bank of China, finally Bank of China listing to NNPC. NNPC went as NNPC to ask for loan. And if there was any value to be added in NNPC's effort to get that loan, there was already Chinese content in Brantex. That is the sequence. It's not CPP came in with the commitment to fund AKK and they took contract. It's far from it. When we went to China, Oil Staff will tell you, they tried to get loans from all over the world, it didn't work. Finally, they came back to me and they joined in the push. Yes, CPP will go and talk on our behalf, but the borrower is NNPC. And Bank of China was more than willing to give the loan, but conditions would have to be met. And I tell everybody, I'm happy NNPC could fund it. Because this is the first commercial loan Nigeria was negotiating, or any entity from Nigeria was negotiating. Every other loan in China was concessionary loan. It's government to government. And that is the truth.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, madam.
The gentleman, is he here? Is he in Nigeria on the expatriate quota visa? Permits, rather.
This is a trainer.
It's in his training exercise.
Well, those who train under him, I'm sure they will be able to explain. Yes, and we have interpreters among us, and we practically have delivered our project as I'm talking to you, and NNPC will be able to confirm that much. And Nigerians, over 600 of them, with their telephone numbers on this listing, will confirm that they didn't know anything about pipeline until this
relationship. Speaking about the man seated here, the gentleman seated here, because we are trying to ascertain whether there's an abuse of expatriate quota. Anybody you are bringing in as a foreigner must have efficiency of English. Because if he's training people, which is the larger picture of why he's here, is to, transfer technology, build capacity and skill. So I really worry how he has been able to do that over the years while he's here. I barely understood him. I don't know if anyone understood him when he was speaking. And apart from which, I could see that he was easily angered or irritated, and that's pretty much because he was struggling to speak. So I can't understand if he's trying to tell a Nigerian engineer or welder on how to hold a particular tool, and that person does not understand. So I'm trying to understand how he will flare up. But what we just saw right now, he can't be a trainer. He can't teach people. He's very rude, he's easily angered, and his mannerism, his approach is offensive.
Obviously,
so I'm understanding how such a person would have trained Nigerians. There's no need to apologize. But actually, please, Brentex would like you to submit a copy of his expatriate quota, his permit, please. We'd like to have that. Thank you. Your project status, finally, completion rate. Before we completion date, we are aware that NNPC has written to you extending your completion date, right, with certain milestones and penalties for failing to meet that new date, which is first quarter next year. Can you please commit to us now? Do you think you'll be able to complete your part of the project by the first quarter next year?
Thank you, distinguished. There is a complication in this conversation that this committee will require to understand. When we say completion of the project first quarter of next year, as far as BCL is concerned, we are still asking NNPC which project. Is it the line pipe construction, which minus the crisis around Circuit Power, 815 kilometers there in Niger State, security issue? BCL could proudly say we finished the line pipe construction work, 320 kilometers. The stations know, because the critical station had been stopped by owner, that is NNPC, more than 18 months ago. So if we sit here as BCL to promise we can deliver the whole project, while part of it had been stopped 18 months ago, we shall be lying.
But your representative that attended our meeting last time, told us specifically that you are going to hand over a completed project.
He must be talking of the line pipe line.
Okay, so, yes. And you were saying that, and there's misrepresentation of deadlines. Have you communicated this to NNPC?
They are fully
Yes,
up-
kindly forward to us your letters.
They are fully aware, yes.
Forward to us your correspondence with NNPC on the completion deadline. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Please, Brent, oil.
On the line pipe construction, we are as good as finished. We will definitely deliver it before the end of this year. The line pipe construction, 320 kilometers. The stations, no, because the station is either in our hand or not in our hand. We don't know where it is. Thank you very much.
Just to tell you, NNPC said the station is in your hands. Is that not what NNPC said? The whole stations? And that's part of the reason why NNPC has paid you only $639 million is because they expect you. Because the agreement you have with them is that you build, you go to site, complete your work, and then they pay you for that. Is that not so?
It's not so.
It's not so, but if they give you certain amount of money or certain percentage of money, there are certain deliverables and milestones that must be met. Have you met those milestones and deliverables?
Absolutely. That is how we have 84 million invoices
Not
not paid.
paid?
Not paid us.
Unpaid.
Okay.
For
Distinguished,
job done.
just the value of the contract, EPC contract, because the TGS has been taken away from us. And the SCADA could be taken away from us. The purchase of the spare parts could be taken away from us. That's what made me to say, this is the value, because I'm talking about what I can control. So that's important to note.
I'm sorry, sir. The stations have been taken away from you?
They're in the process of taking it in the last 18 months.
So they haven't been taken away? Because we heard just now that they have been taken away.
Yeah, they've written us, and in the last meeting, if that happens, we'll go to court.
No, they've either taken them away or they haven't.
They stopped work 18 months ago.
They wrote us.
We can't progress if they're not giving approvals.
So they have not taken them away, giving approvals?
Yes, which means work has stopped 18 months ago.
Chairman, you cannot be having all these altercations. We must have facts to work on. You said either it has not been taken. You said it has been taken. He is saying that it has not been taken. Also, when you wanted to start, you were insisting, and you also repeated it now, that what you are responsible for is the one, is it 1.3?
1.3, yes.
1.3, whatever, that the orders are not in your hands. Now you are now saying again that if orders are taken, you will go to court.
Exactly.
Is that not?
No, please, let me clarify. The 1.27 billion, I said the TGS is part of it. That is the stations. And NNPC has written us that they are descoping it. And we've been in discussion with them since the past 18 months. So we've not concluded on it. So that's why I said, because we have a written letter that this has been descoped, and we asked them why. Look at the contract we signed with you, and we've been on that back.
Should I tell you, you are refusing to mention some reason why NNPC is considering descoping that is because they are not satisfied with the pace of work. Let's be very honest.
Okay.
They said the project was supposed to be completed in 2022. It wasn't completed. And then they gave you first extension to 2023, and they have recently extended again that you should complete everything until next year, May next year. So to the very best of every stakeholder's knowledge, the stations are in your control because it still makes part of the funds, which is 1.27, as you say it is, and the only person delaying is you. Anyway, to sum it up, because we need to really move on and close, Just submit every correspondence. If they have written to you to the scope, let us see that letter, because I'm very sure they would have said, you know what, if you do not complete by so, we will take away this. That is why they won't just say we're descoping. So let us see the letters, the exchange of communication between both of you. Thank you. Please, Oilserve, next.
The MD of Oilserve. In terms of our performance on the project, Oilserve is wholly Nigerian. We're about 1,030 Nigerians employed on this project. 300 of them are from local communities around the AKK. In terms of where we are on the value of the contract is about 1.081 billion. 1.081 billion. It traverses 303 kilometers. It includes 12 BVS stations, it includes 1 IPS station, it includes 10 road crossings, 6 river crossings, including the River Niger, 3 special construction zones that requires us to level mountains and then raise valleys, and goes through a very, very rocky terrain of within the Ajikoto spread. In terms of where we are, procurement-wise, we are about 80% on procurement of the critical.
How many percent?
80%, close to 80%.
80?
Yes, on the procurement, roughly around 80-something% on the engineering and construction. Total completion on the project is around 60% at the moment. 60% of work has been done. In terms of what we have received from NNPC at the moment, out of the value of the contract, we have received about 600 and something million dollars. 600 and something, about 600 and something plus. We still have an outstanding payment, milestone payments of about 300 and something to complete. In terms of specific details around NC, just let me consult. So when we look at total NC spend on the project at the moment, NC spend is about $289 million. NC value is about 700 and something million dollars for the AKK. I'll maybe stop here and see the specific areas you want me to deepen.
Yes,
and I
human
would.
capacity development.
Okay, so on the AKK, sadly so, when this contract was issued to Oilserve, NNPC did not include a HCD element on this contract. Similarly, because the NGICs classified this project as a midstream project, the 1% NCF also did not apply. So the 1% NCF does not apply because it's midstream. Then for the 1% HCD, that was not also applicable because that has to be factored into the contract and negotiated with NCDMB. However, what Oilserve has done is that in the process, we have on our own spent about $2.2 million on local trainings, and we've trained about 300 and something people.
Hold on, please, Oilserve. We don't expect NCDF funding, so that's not your expectations, but you must. You must. You must. It's not good. It might not be specifically captured, but you should have known that if you had interfaced with NCDMB. And the NNPC said you are responsible for that.
For NCF?
For HCD.
So
NNPC did mention that. As a matter of fact, we should have brought them in today.
Yes, so
but you are responsible for that.
Yeah, okay. So the structure of the contract is such that the HC value has to be, so if I look at my examples from working with Shell and delivering projects, the HC element of the contract is specified within the contract. However, what we have done is that there is an ongoing engagement between NCDMB and NNPC to resolve that. On our part, we've also engaged with NCDMB to ensure that whatever additional spend is required around HCD is also resolved. So on our part,
please hurry up and resolve that with
NCDMB
and NNPC, because you are owing Nigerians $10 million worth of human capacity development projects.
So that
however, yes. You said they're owing you $300 million, right? You are being owed about $300 million worth of project, right? So I don't think.
The structure is that for the HCD, the NCC certificate, it has to be specified on the NCC certificate. And so at the moment, we don't have it on the project. And that also is not.
NCDMB, is that usually specified in the NCC certificates? No. Thank you. That's worth of human capacity development training programs or Oilserve. However you get it. Discuss with NNPC discuss with NCDMB, whatever. You are owing $10 million worth.
Sums about 1.08 billion. You have been paid 600 plus million, right?
Yes, sir.
The percentage of work done is 60%.
Yes, sir.
And he said there are certain components of that, whatever job that was 80, whatever, but the actual average work done right now is 60%.
Yes, sir.
Then you now added that you still have unpaid claims of 300 plus. Is that right?
So that's milestones to the end of the project. So the balance of payment to deliver the project.
No, that is, I just want to be sure. Because said we have 300. I just want to be sure that my ear is not deceiving me. Because ideally, if you have done 60% of work and then you've gotten 600 whatever million, that is actually 60%. Is it not? Yes. Because that is why I'm a bit confused. And I say,
and he has done another 300.
Another 300. That means that you are on 90%.
No.
Or they pay you before you get to those milestones.
So the structure of
payment.
The structure of our payment is such that we achieve specific milestones, and then NNPC will only pay us 45 days after the milestones are achieved. So when we look at the balance of 300 plus that we're supposed to be paid, that is tied to very, very specific milestones. So for exactly, so yes, that covers the additional work.
So you've not got into those milestones.
We have not. That's why we have not.
So let us
yes.
So please turn up your mic. Brentex on the stations, what do you call them, the gas stations? What's the real word? TGS stations. Are you suffering the same fate with NNPC trying to descope you?
So in terms of the totals that we have as AllServe, we have 12 block valve stations, we have IPS stations, we have TGS stations, we have crossings as well. Now, there are some concerns because we know that we have about 6 to 9 months to deliver the project, and in our structure as AllServe, what we tend to do is to follow the body language of the owner of the project in order to be able to meet those milestones. So we have significant chunk of work to do to be able to complete all of that, and whatever issues with NNPC are being internally resolved. Thank you.
Specifically, are you the TGS stations? Do you perceive that NNPC wants to take them out of your scope?
Other projects in Nigeria for the past 32 years. We always know that when there is a potential for slippage, the owner reserves the right to want to descope certain parts. So that is always an ongoing conversation that happens. At the end of the day, sometimes depending on the performance of the project, the owner steps away from descoping, depending on the performance of the project. So that is an internal conversation that is being managed between us.
Thank you, you've answered us. Thank you very much. So what I will just tell you is, I believe you are also having the same extended deadline of May next year, right?
Deadline is actually March next year.
March next year.
Yes,
Do you
Q1,
think you'll be able to complete your project by March next year?
Or
are you going to request for an extension?
We have, with the structures that we have on ground and with the plans that we're currently executing, that we should be able to achieve that.
I like how positive you are.
Yes, ma'am.
But what I don't like is the fact that your pipes are still laying on top of the surface. When you are driving around from here to Ajakuta, you just see the pipe. So I hope you're not just speaking nice English in your calm tone. I know that's not part of your strategy.
No, completed the annual NNPC project. So we just recently completed the annual NNPC project. One of the things that we have repositioned ourselves as a business to do is to make sure the annual NNPC project, which was commissioned by the President on May 13th. Now, we had 4 years of issues on the project, but we completed it in 6 months. The point for us is that with the right levels of support and with what we have restructured, the way we have restructured our company, we are fairly confident that these things will help us to deliver projects on time, right quality, and the right cost for the country.
high patriotism on the fore of every decision we make. Let me see what we have on the agenda. So in the absence of any further comment, observation, or contribution, is adjourned, Senator. Who will second?
A second.